See, you're so good at explaining to us the things that we don't necessarily see with a quarterback. We see a guy who can walk, we assume he can just throw the ball. But how will this specific knee injury impact Rodgers on the field?
Well, this is a knee he's had problems with before. He mentioned in the interview he's had several procedures on the knee. Started off when he was in high school. Aaron's always been a great athlete, but not like Dan Marino. Dan Marino injured his knee, which hampered him in college. And by the time he got to the pros, he couldn't move. But Dan Marino was a great athlete in high school, great basketball player, great baseball player. But the knee injuries, it really affected his ability. Aaron, it hasn't affected his ability. You wouldn't think that he's had multiple procedures on that knee. So what it does, Jenna, is he's had this same injury before. So your body, and you know this as someone who works out and an athlete, your body will recruit other muscles. And then once you do that activity, your body creates muscle memory. So now his body, he's used to, because he has such great arm talent, he can get his left leg out of the way and allow his arm just to throw the football. Aaron's right. He's a good athlete, but he's scrambling to try to throw the football. He knows exactly who he is, so he's not going to try. So his ability to be able to avoid another injury, because he knows what he can do, he knows what his limitations are, but he's not really trying to leave the pocket. So his ability to be able to play at a higher level than someone else, like, I haven't seen a quarterback limp around the way he did last week. Typically, the coach will remove him or the player will remove himself because I can't protect myself from the defender. So because he's dealt with his left knee, multiple procedures, he will adjust to that. So those are the things that he's talking about. But this knee is not going to get better for a long time. Typically what happens is this is a knee that needs either 6 to 8 weeks of rest or a minor procedure if he has a little piece of cartilage. So
and he's not going to have neither, basically.
No, that's the life of an NFL. If it was an NBA, you know what happened? He either take the time off.
He'd take the time off.
Yeah.
He'd take the time off.
And either for the rehab or to have the procedure and still take the time off. But this is the life of an NFL player. And Aaron, because it's the same injury, the same body part, that's the reason why he would understand it better than our normal watch the injury report, how it will affect the guy, Nick.
Sometimes guys suffer an injury and then they suffer a different injury to a different body part, and we talk about the kinetic chain, right? Like, okay, so your hamstring's not firing quite the way it normally would, your body overcompensates, and that leads to a groin injury. But sometimes guys are dealing with an injury and they suffer an injury to a different body part, not because of the kinetic chain, but because they can't get out of danger as quickly as they used to be able to. And that's my concern with Aaron Rodgers, because you're right. How many of his highlights are him on the move? We don't talk so much about the Packers offensive line. Now, part of that's because of Brian Bulaga, and they have some quality players, and part of it's also because he gets out of harm's way, as well as just about any quarterback that is not a quarterback we think of as a traditional running quarterback. And what I know about Green Bay is this. If they have a compromised Aaron Rodgers at the end of the season, they're not a Super Bowl team. The only way a team...
At the end of the season or the regular season?
Well, if you're in the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers, you can win the Super Bowl if he is operating close to maximum capacity. But if this... Forget staying at this level. If this knee deteriorates as the year goes on, then it can be a better season than it was last year for Green Bay. But I don't believe they have enough talent on the team as a whole. I think they have an average defense. I think they have good wide receivers. Aaron Jones, you pointed out, C, to remind that he's coming back from his suspension this week.
Yes.
They could have an above-average running game, but none of that speaks to Super Bowl contender, Super Bowl representative out of the NFC, unless you have near peak Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, of course I'm worried about whether it's going to get better, but he also alluded to in his longer form comments yesterday about it getting worse. If it gets worse, then that injury in week 1 is going to be the defining moment of the Packers season. That's something we're going to have to wait and see on.
Well, I would imagine that if he is out there, then he can't do further damage to the knee. But let's get into specifics. What is he facing with this Washington defense coming up on Sunday?
Washington's got a good enough defense that they can put enough pressure on him in their front seven. They can't play enough coverage. One thing Aaron doesn't have to worry about, you're not going to see wholesale blitzes and stuff against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron doesn't face that type of pressure because he throws the ball so quick. Do they have enough guys playing man-to-man to be able to beat Aaron Rodgers? No. Can they drop in the zone to be able to beat Aaron Rodgers and not put pressure on him? No. But Green Bay, what they have to do to be able to help Aaron out, they have to be able to run the ball. Nick mentioned Aaron Jones coming back from a 2-game suspension. He was kind of the highlight of Aaron being injured in the end of last season as far as Green Bay, something they could build on. Jamal Williams, he did a good job running the ball in the Vikings game. So they have to run the ball more. Even if Aaron was healthy, I would be saying the same thing. If Green Bay wants to be different, if they want to be able to help out their defense, which I believe is far more talented than the defenses that we've seen, and this is a defense that has come up with big stops when they needed them at crucial parts in the game. They put a lot of draft capital into their secondary. It's starting to pay off. But running the football to be able to help Aaron out, then you can play action pass and take advantage of the secondary of the Redskins.
And Kevin King, their second-round pick from a year ago, he left the Vikings game with an injury. I think if they're going to be better than what I anticipate defensively, yes, those young defensive backs need to play well, but to me, it's about Kenny Clark and Mike Daniels up front on that defensive line. But the other reality for Green Bay is this.
Also, Muhammad Wilkerson. That 3-man rotation, they've gotten so much better.
Absolutely
they got some big people in there.
Absolutely right. And I shouldn't have left him out. But he was that they have, as far as teams that run in their base defense a 3-4, they have more talent than we talk about at that spot in particular. But it is critically important for Green Bay to get off to a good start this season. They have their bye in Week 7. After the bye, in a 5-week stretch, they go to Los Angeles, to New England, to Minnesota, and to Seattle. Those are 4 of the either best teams or toughest places to play. It is critical that they go into the bye after 6 games, something close to 5-0-1 or 4-1-1 as they sit here at 1-0-1. So that's why this weekend's game has even of the utmost importance.
Nick, I do believe Aaron's knee will get better as the season goes on. I believe when they get to the bye week, that will be a critical time for them. But if Green Bay, Mike McCarthy, if they can take advantage of this injury, well, how would they do that? Let's run the football. So even when Aaron is back healthy at the end of the season, that they have a running game, which leads to a play action, which also leads to keeping the defense off the field. Like if they're going to be a serious contender for a championship, they can take advantage of this time now by fortifying some other parts of their game.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.